The following names have been altered to protect the identities of those involved, including my own. My name is Chase Hellberg, but of course you know now that isn't true. I'm currently 22 years old living in a smaller town called Texas. The place likes to call itself a city, but it hardly accounts to that. I work as an Uber driver during the night, which of course leads to encounters with a fair share of weirdos. I imagine most of you are getting the vibes by now that this is just another chalked up Uber horror story, but that's not the case. Not in particular, at least. Allow me to just skip past any more boring details of my life and just get right into this mess. So one night I'm out doing my usual thing, driving around and whatnot. It's only a Tuesday night, so it's a fairly slow night. The only pickup I had was a drunk guy who needed to be picked up outside of a Gold's Gym because his friends had ditched him there. The dude looked like he could go straight up toe-to-toe with a bear and maybe stand a fighting chance. Why you ditch and potentially piss off a guy like that is a curious question to ponder indeed. But hey, he got home safe and I got paid and tipped pretty well, an amount that was probably not made with the help of sobriety, so everything was chill. Or so it was until I got notified of another pickup by somebody a few miles away. The contact information that arrived belonged to a Susan Wilkes, and a phone number 361 was presented as well. The location of the pickup was in a park called Riverside, which was an odd place to be at nearly 1 AM, but hey, it's not exactly something you question too much. There were places nearby where somebody could have gotten off work and possibly just needed a ride back, and there was a high-end bar not too far away, so perhaps somebody ended up going for a drunk walk. Either way, I put the location in my phone despite knowing where the park is at anyways, and I send Susan a text saying I'd be on my way soon, and that it shouldn't take long. I don't get a reply, which is pretty normal at times, and I begin heading out towards Riverside. About 2 minutes later, my phone starts buzzing, and I look to find that the same 361 number from Susan's contact information is on my screen. Assuming they were probably just trying to respond to my text, I swipe open to the call and start off with a friendly, "Hi ma'am, how are you doing this evening? I'm headed that way, should be there in the next 3 minutes." I hear a muffled crackling sound of somebody trying to take out their phone from their pocket. I wait a couple seconds to see if the caller would say something back, but instead the muffling ceased and the faint sound of somebody just breathing could be heard, like as if they were just looking down at the phone unsure of what to say. "Ma'am?" I called out one last time. Immediately, I'm hung up on. Finding this a bit odd, I simply chalk it up to being a butt dial. It happens every now and then. Not really sure what else I could have called it at the time. I spend the next few minutes in silence until I eventually pull up to Riverside Park. I drive down a long road that passes a baseball field and meets up with a playground area. A place I used to come to a lot as a kid, where I'd climb this huge plastic canyon rock thing. Not really sure how else to describe it. As my headlights beam past and illuminate the playground, I notice a woman sitting down by the swing sets, cradling a baby in her arms. She appeared to be about in her mid-30s, wearing a plain black dress and high heels. Best way to describe it was she looked like she was ready for a funeral. Honestly, that's what it looked like. Needless to say, I was feeling a need for answers as to what a mother was doing at a playground with a baby at 1 AM. Despite my headlights shining right at her, she stared down at the playground flooring as if lost in deep thought. I pull up my call history and dial the number back. The phone rings about 2 times before I see the woman look down and pull out her phone from a purse lying beside her. She stares blankly at it for a few seconds before her head suddenly perks up and her eyes meet with mine. Or so it felt. This woman had such a cold and emotionless expression across her face, and she had mascara melting down her face as if she'd been crying. My mind immediately jumped to something like a runaway mother from domestic abuse or something like that. I could feel my body somewhat tingle from how sudden and uneasy this whole situation was starting to feel, and I just wanted to bail right then and there. But if a mother needed help, then I could push my worries aside. What kind of person would I be to just leave them here? The mother doesn't answer her phone, but she gets up and starts walking towards the car, her eyes fixated on me. I roll down my window and say to the woman as she nears, "Ma'am, is everything alright? What on earth are you doing out here? It's pretty darn late." The woman instantly jumped from emotionless to wicked happy and upbeat and replied with this broad smile,
"Oh yes, I'm doing great. My son and I just wanted to go for a walk."
The sudden change of behavior shot off all kinds of alarms in my mind. You know that feeling when you can kind of tell by the way somebody's acting that they aren't, well, quite all there? That's exactly what this woman sounded like. As she got closer, I noticed her arms were slightly dirty as well as her legs, like mud had caked and dried onto her. I wasn't trusting this at all. I rolled up my windows and locked my doors right as the woman approached the car. She stood right in front of the headlights, gazing right at me with that smile still slapped on her face. This woman was beginning to creep me out now, but most importantly, I was worried about the child she had with her. I I lowered my window just a bit to try to talk to her from within my car, but when I did, she bolted towards the driver's side door. "Shit!" I hollered, throwing my car into reverse and pulling out a few feet away. I looked up and the woman had frozen in place, staring at me again from within the beams of my headlights. I wasted no time in grabbing my taser from the side panel of my door and yanking my phone off the GPS mount so I could call 911. I pulled up emergency contacts and was about to press the number for police when my phone went into an incoming call screen. It was the mother. I looked up to see that the mother had moved from the view of my headlights and seemingly disappeared. My heart sank right into my gut as now I felt entirely unsafe and beyond anxious with the mother now nowhere to be found. Like a damn idiot, I waited on calling the police and swiped open to the call. I put the phone up to my ear, looking everywhere for this unstable woman as I did. "This isn't funny, you've got a kid, lady. You've got about 20 seconds to show yourself before I call the police." I was calling them either way. There was a long pause, but finally the woman's joyous tone came right through the phone.
"You're the man who's gonna take good care of my son. He's been such a good boy."
My heart shuddered. This bitch was actually insane, like legit gone. I'm the man who's gonna take care of her son? What the hell did that mean? Fucking hell, woman! What the hell is wrong with you? Before I got an answer, the phone abruptly hung up again. I didn't hesitate after that crap to dial for the police. 911, what's the location and the state of your emergency? Riverside Park, near the RV park right next to the Riverside baseball field. I've got this lady stalking me. She's got like this baby and she's like clearly on something. They're just fucking nuts. Okay, sir, can you explain further? What's your name and how old is the female and child? My name is Chase Helberg and the lady looks like she's in her, I don't know, mid-30s and I don't know about the baby. He's wrapped up in a blanket or something like that. Can you just like get an officer out here like fast? We are working on that as we speak. Can you tell me a few more details? Are you safe and where's the woman at in relation to you? Can you see her? I did a once-over looking to see if the woman had shown back up, but she hadn't. With a sick knot in my stomach, I told the dispatcher, "Nah, I don't know where she went." She stood in front of my car, then tried to bolt after me when I rolled the windows down. Look, I'm safe in my car, I think, but this lady's not right in the head. I don't know what the hell she's capable of. Okay, sir, an officer will be there shortly. If you are able, you may leave or pull out towards an area where you feel safe until you see an officer. Okay, thank you. To be honest, this is scary as hell for me. I understand, sir. You may hang up now. Feeling reluctant to do so, I held on to the call for just a few more moments of silence before I grudgingly ended the call. I was now alone, in the dark, with a psychotic mom prancing around who the hell knows where for the next few minutes. I wanted to do something for the kid, but what could I do? The police would be here shortly anyways, and they're more equipped to handling these kinds of situations. I took one last look around just to be sure and put my car in reverse. The moment I did, I nearly threw up in terror. Right across the screen of the console was the woman, sitting behind my car smiling at the camera. Fuck! I cried out in a panic. I heard a muffled voice of the mother from outside scream,
"You take him now. Take my baby boy.
Fuck you, lady! I shouted in horror, flipping my car into drive.
Take him, his father's a bad man."
I looked out of my rearview mirror right before I was about to floor it to see the woman taking off in a flailing sprint out towards the road. She didn't have her baby with her anymore, and when I looked back down at the camera view, there was the feet of a wrapped baby in a red blanket that I couldn't fully see. My heart was pounding like hell and I was frozen in place, debating to get out and grab this baby quickly before the lady came back. Still able to see the woman, now at a very far distance, practically at the road now. I knew she wouldn't be able to get near me within the time it would take to grab the child. With a deep breath, I mustered up just enough courage to push past my fear and quickly open the door. I rushed around to the back of my car, saw the blanketed baby, scooped it up, and went right back inside my car. I could feel my blood rushing heavily, but I was on too much of an adrenaline rush to care. I set the baby beside me and reached over to try and seatbelt it in to the best of my ability, but that's when I noticed the smell. The smell of something decaying. I glanced down at the child wrapped in the blanket, and the sight in which I saw shattered me to my core. The baby the mother had been carrying was not alive, and to avoid any graphic details, I'll say it was very visible it hadn't been for a while. I felt my stomach twist and snap. I opened my car door and fell to my knees vomiting. I quickly felt tears beginning to swell around my eyes. What the hell? What the actual hell? You sick bitch! I hollered out in tears. I had never seen a dead body before. Not like this. There's no way to just take that in. I looked back at the blanketed child lying in my car and just stared in absolute disbelief. Never in my life had I been this mortified and disgusted. The faint flicker of blue and red light suddenly caught my attention from the corner of my eye. I turned to see a police car gliding across the road and slowing up to turn into the park where I was. I closed my door shut and just sat down, now starting to hyperventilate. I watched as a police car drove up close to me and come to a stop. A young officer quickly stepped out of the vehicle and rushed over to my side to check on me. Hey, just take it easy, relax. I'm here to help you. I stared right past the officer and just mumbled to myself, "This isn't happening, right?" "Sir, I'm gonna need you to focus," the officer said, maintaining a calm, collected manner. "I got a call about an unstable mother and a child. Now I need your help getting that child to safety. Can you tell me what direction they took off or where you last saw this individual?" The baby. He's in the car." Without questioning me further, the officer jolted up and peered into the car. He then made his way around to the other side of the car, and as he did, I could hear the sound of more police sirens blaring closer to where we were. I heard the officer open the door, and a few moments later I heard him say to himself, "Holy shit." The officer stepped around and told me to stay put before returning to his car. I heard the officer discuss something over his radio, but I couldn't quite make out what he was discussing. He eventually came back around and said to me that everything was going to be okay and that he was going to just ask me some questions. I complied as the other officers arrived, and I told them everything that had happened. I gave the officers the woman's number I had received, and they tried to give her a call, but not to my surprise, she didn't answer. I gave the officer my keys, as they were now, as well as my car, considered evidence of a crime scene. I asked an officer if they could grab my wallet, as I was too disgusted by the sight to get it myself. The officer understood and got it for me before asking me to ride with one of the others back to the police station so they could take my statement. Again, I complied and went with an older officer back to the station not too far away. Once there, I gave them all my information and pretty much just sat in a room retelling everything that had happened start to finish. The officers were kind and receptive to how shitty I was feeling and took it easy on me. After I was done, they said if they had any more questions, they would be in contact. Another officer took me in his car and drove me home. He kept trying to make small talk to, I don't know, I guess lighten my spirits, but I wasn't having it. Once I got home, I thanked the officer for the ride and headed upstairs to my apartment. I think it's pretty needless to say I didn't sleep that night, as I kept replaying what I had seen over and over again in my head. The following morning, I went to the Starbucks that is right next to my apartments to have an overpriced cup of coffee and sulk. As I sat drinking my coffee, I pulled up my phone and just stared at my call history, looking at the number that the mother had called me from. I debated for a quick moment to just tap it out of curiosity, but I decided it was best to not. I then went online to check the local news on my phone to find the front page headline reading, "Local woman dies in a fatal police shooting after apparent grave robbing incident." I felt my stomach begin to churn ever so slightly, and an anxious feeling arose within me, despite me being in an open area surrounded by people. Obviously, I clicked on the article. The sheriff's department have ended a small-scale hunt in a fatal shooting this morning at 6:37 a.m. Local resident Susan Wilkes, age 36, was found wandering by the riverbanks at Riverside Park when officers were out searching for a suspect in an apparent child endangerment incident, soon to be connected to a grave robbing incident. The body of 3-year-old Kyle Wilkes was found at approximately 1:30 a.m. after an individual informed police that a mother had left her baby with him before abandoning the deceased child. Kyle Wilkes, the decedent, passed away over 8 months ago after being smothered by his father, James Wilkes, who is currently serving 8 years. Kyle Wilkes' grave was found unearthed shortly after Susan Wilkes' encounter with police. Police claimed they attempted to ease the visibly distressed woman, but she made aggressive advances towards police, into which they acted accordingly. Deputy Sheriff Williams stated that the event was disturbing and should, quote, "never occur in a town like this. Despite me wanting more, there just really wasn't to the article. And that was that. To be honest, I felt somewhat relieved, as awful as that is to say. However, I also felt immense sorrow and also very disturbed. Did that mean the mud on the woman was from her digging up the corpse of her son? As disgusting and terrifying as that is, how much pain was that woman in to where she was that broken, to where she had just totally snapped? I remember those words, his father is a very bad man. Perhaps she was suffering abuse beforehand. I don't have kids, so I personally don't know what it would be like to lose one of them, or what it would do to me, but I would hope I'd never crack like that. As scarred and horrified as I was by that woman, I honestly wish it could have gone another way, that she could have found help or something. I don't know, I'm sickened. But I guess I can still try and understand her mindset. Either way, what's done is done. It's over. I'll never be able to exactly get over what happened that day, and I still have nightmares about it often. I don't even bother going to that side of town anymore, just because it's stained with the memory of that horrific night. Once I got my car back, I sold it and bought a new one. It's been a few months since that day, and I'm still driving people around, but only during the day now. Life has pretty much returned to normal for me, but still, there's just some things that happen to people in their life that will stick with them forever. And this was one of those events.